Guys, what is up? After a month of non-stop use and wearing it every day, we're here in the Whoop shirt to talk about my long-term thoughts and review of the Whoop Band 4.0. Let's jump into it. So if you guys have been following along in the channel for a while, or you've seen any of my past videos in like the last 6-8 months or whatever it's been, I've been wearing a Whoop Band in pretty much every single video because, like I said, I wear it all the time. As I said in one of my most recent videos, a big thing I want to do in 2022 is really focus, narrow in on my health and well-being and make active life decisions to improve my health and my overall activity levels, sleeping levels, etc. Now, if you didn't see my Whoop 3 videos or you've never heard of Whoop before, Whoop is a fitness and activity tracking company, but they really do a little bit more on the data side with their companion app. Now, the Whoop 3, which I just upgraded from about a month and a half ago, that tracks stuff, of course, like every other device does, like your daily activity, your sleep and your sleep recovery, and your heart rate. But now, the Whoop 4 has a couple of additional sensors built into it to do a little bit more and get you a little bit more data about your health and what's going on with your body. So the first thing that the Whoop 4 has over the 3 is an improved sensor array. Allegedly, this adjusted sensor array allows for more accurate data readings. It's pretty hard for me as an individual consumer to gauge whether or not the 4 has any more accurate readings over the Whoop 3. Long term, I haven't really noticed any sort of major jumps between the data that I was collecting before and the data I'm seeing now. The other new adjustment is, of course, the ability to read your blood oxygen level and also your skin temperature using a brand new sensor that they've incorporated into the Whoop 4. Now, I've had a couple days where I've felt perfectly fine and I've gotten alerts about my blood oxygen level being too low, and then the very next day, it's right back to normal. Could be calibration issue, or it could just be a complete one-off. I really haven't noticed any health issues arising when these warnings are going off. And on the skin temperature side, I don't really know how to interpret the data that it's given me. I'm usually between a -5 and a 0.5, which I think in the app it says is normal and as it should be, but I don't really know what that means in real world data. And actually, really, as much as I have enjoyed the new design band, the improved battery, the biggest flaw that I've actually experienced to date with the Whoop 4 has been on the software side. I've actually gotten a couple of months free because my band has continued to collect data even when I'm not wearing it. It was actually collecting activity data when I was showering and the band was sitting on my cabinet. And that was deemed by Whoop's software team to be a technical issue. And anybody who's been following the Whoop 4 release will know that it was severely delayed as a result of the microchip shortage out there in the world right now. And I think because of the delays, because of the setbacks, the product kind of has a little bit of a rushed feeling on the software side. The hardware itself seems great. I haven't had any problems with the hardware. Charge is great, battery life is great, the sensors all seem to work. It feels really good on the wrist for the most part. I'll get into that shortly. The Whoop 4 is still shipping out to people who are on the pre-order list. That's how long and backlogged their shipping is right now. I hope the software will improve with time. Now, getting into the hardware side, although most of these changes are under the hood with the Whoop 4, there are a couple of things that actually change the form factor and how it feels on the wrist long term. So first, I mentioned this in my initial hands-on and unboxing, but the Whoop 4 is actually a little bit taller, a little bit chunkier, if you will, than the Whoop 3. Now, while they did shrink the form factor in terms of the length of the device, they made it a little bit shorter and more compact. The extra height on the device now is a little bit cumbersome sometimes. It no longer seems to fit under the cuff of my sleeves quite as nicely as the Whoop 3 did. It just sits a little bit too high and it creates a visible bump. I liked the form factor of the Whoop 3 for that exact reason. The Whoop 4 kind of takes a little bit of a step back, in my opinion, on that side of the design, because yes, now it clearly is visible through a cuff or a sleeve. Now, that aside, they have actually incorporated a new charger, which is excellent, because now you can wear the new charger even when you're out in the rain or in a wet condition. Yes, this means you could technically wear your Whoop 4 while charging it in the shower. I'm not doing that personally, but that doesn't mean you couldn't. The battery seems to last even longer than the Whoop 3 despite all the added features and the new sensor arrays and the smaller form factor. So kudos to the Whoop guys for continuing to push the needle on the battery and performance side. I've been constantly averaging 5 days wear solid. The other new feature of the Whoop 4 that I personally have not tested out, but I would have to assume that it works the same way as it does when it's on your wrist, is the new wearing feature. So the Whoop can now be worn on the Whoop provided, Whoop branded, Whoop apparel. They've got shorts, boxers, and skin tight tees. And essentially you slide the sensor array off of the band and into the pouch on the clothing, and then it collects your data wherever, whether it's on the arm or the leg or the thigh, wherever it might be positioned based on the clothing that you're wearing. Again, I'm not buying into this particular aspect of the product. These clothes obviously have a very clear-cut area where the sensors can read through. There does beg the question whether the reliability of the data would be changed based on where it's collecting from. For example, collecting on the wrist, now you're going to switch to collecting from the arm or on the leg or in the thigh. Perhaps the data might get skewed a little bit by this change in positioning. I'm not an expert. I don't know what it might do or may not do, but that's just my 2 cents about it. The apparel does look quite cool, but it's also quite pricey. And that's the other big thing with Whoop in general. Now, I don't want to knock the product at all. I love getting all the additional data. It's given me some great insights into my health. It's very obvious, for example, that when I have a couple too many drinks, when I'm out with friends, my respiratory rate goes up, my resting heart rate goes up, and my sleep recovery levels go down. It's a very clear indication, and it's become a pattern that I've now been able to analyze and see. I can now go and actually pace myself a little bit better because I know, hey, not only am I gonna sleep like crap, but it's actually affecting the way that my body recovers, the way that my body winds down. And that, if long-term, could create some serious negative problems for me. On the sleep side in general, you can configure in the Whoop app how much you are actually looking to perform the following day. And it will tell you not only what time you should go to bed at, but also what your performance is going to look like if you don't go to bed at that recommended time. And you can actually really start to utilize that data in an effective manner. That kind of insight and data has real world application and is super cool to me, but it's not for everybody. If you are a very casual health and fitness enthusiast, or even just casually interested in this data, Fitbit may be your better option. Although the Whoop band itself is free, you do have to pay into a monthly subscription service with a minimum 6-month commitment. But at $30 or nearly 40 odd Canadian dollars per month, unless you really want or really need to be collecting that data, it is a hard and expensive pill to swallow. Really, at the 6-month minimum commitment, the band is basically $180 or about 240 Canadian dollars. The other problem, of course, is that as soon as you stop paying that monthly subscription, this device and the companion app are useless and they stop working for you. If you're planning to stay the course with the brand and you're enjoying the brand and you're enjoying the product, then maybe that monthly fee makes sense because every year you're essentially guaranteed to be front of the line to get the next upgrade. That's how it worked with the 3 going to the 4. If you're just exploring the options and you're not ready to totally commit, that's where buying the Whoop 4 right now becomes a little bit of a gray area. As much as I enjoy my Whoop 4 and I do love the data and the insight, I would have to recommend that for 90% of people, a Fitbit at a fixed rate, I think that's the way to go for most people. My mom, we bought her a Fitbit a few years back for Christmas. She wears it every so often just to collect data, for example, when she goes on a hike or a walk. And that's really about it. That's what she uses it for. And I think that's what most people are using these kind of devices for. I don't think most people are invested enough in the data that these kind of things get you to be investing this kind of money on a long-term recurring basis. The Whoop really isn't something you should be looking at. So yeah, one more thing to add to your subscription service list along with your Netflix and Spotify accounts. If you are in the 10% of people who might be interested in this device, I wholeheartedly think they are the best in the biz right now. That's my long-term review and thoughts of the Whoop 4 band. If you have any questions or comments, or you want to know more about my Whoop 4 journey, leave a comment down below, and we will see you guys again in the next one.